Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this special edition of Newsroom. I am your host Omar Khalid, but we've been joined by a very special guest today. Let me introduce her to you, but before that, a little introduction as far as she is concerned. She has been trained as a lawyer and became the first black woman to be appointed as a Queen's Counsel in 1991. At 35, she was also the youngest woman ever to be made a Queen's Counsel, the first black woman to be appointed Deputy High Court Judge, Recorder and Master of Middle Temple, joined the House of Lords in the year 1997 as Baroness Scotland of Asthall, going on to serve as a Minister in the Foreign Office, Home Office and Lord Chancellor's Department. She undertook major reforms of the criminal justice system, including the introduction of the Domestic Violence Crime and the Victims Act. She was appointed Attorney General in 2007. The first woman to hold the post since it was created in 1315, founded the Eliminate Domestic Violence Global Foundation in the year 2011, appointed Prime Ministerial Trade Envoy to South Africa in 2012, elected as the Alderman of Bishopsgate in the City of London in 2014. She has also been the Chancellor of the University of Greenwich, a patron of the Corporate Alliance Against Domestic Violence, patron of Lifeline Trinidad and Tobago, and patron of the Caribbean Science Foundation. You know, when you have so many attributes to yourself, this doesn't put a burden but gives such a lot of responsibility to the person, and she has been so apt at it. She is none other than the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland. Thank you very much, Secretary General, to have joined us for this special first time interview in Pakistan. A couple of years back, we did get more or less virtually face to face when we talked a lot about COVID and how it had impacted the Commonwealth countries. How does it feel to be in Pakistan after those years? And I think this is your maiden visit to the country. Yes. What's your impression of our beautiful Pakistan, of our people and the culture and traditions that you have witnessed so far?
Well, it's been a huge privilege and pleasure for me at last to be able to come to Pakistan. You know that I had intended to come to Pakistan just after the terrible floods 2 years ago, because Pakistan was chairing the Commonwealth Ministers' meeting in relation to youth, and it was our 50th anniversary. And that was to be my first visit. But you remember how traumatic that terrible time was. Indeed. More than 33 million people here in Pakistan were affected, and billions of damage was done to the economy. People lost their livelihoods and their lives. And it was a terrible, terrible time. But the love that our Commonwealth felt for Pakistan, I think, was probably never greater. So to come now, to see the resilience of the Pakistani people, to see how people are recovering, is a great delight. But I think we really need to remember that so many are still displaced, so many still are struggling to get their homes back up and running, and so many have lost everything that they lived and worked for so hard. So to come, to feel the warmth of Pakistan, you have really delicious food.
Yes, we do.
To be embraced in the way that I have been embraced, it's been very special, and I have felt very honored that I've been taken into the hearts of people so warmly, and that for me is a blessing.
It takes a generous person to say that. Nevertheless, Secretary General, when it comes to Pakistan, how important do you feel has our country's role been within the Commonwealth?
Well, it's been extremely important. You'll know that Pakistan was one of the founding members of the new Commonwealth in 1949, because when Pakistan took her independence, there was a question: would she wish to stay in the family that had been created? And now this new construct was going to be made with independent republics who stayed in alignment with the rest of the Commonwealth. So if you like, those early campaigners for the new construct, which Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II had said it was the greatest construct of a totally new construct built on the finest qualities of man. And Pakistan has remained a member of the Commonwealth during this time with of course, a couple of absences, but their commitment to the Commonwealth values has been very strong. And now, Commonwealth is led by Pakistan when it comes to the youth agenda.
True.
And it has been totally committed to doing this. I am here, and we are going to launch a number of initiatives which we hope will benefit the 65% of Pakistanis who are under the age of 30. You have a vibrant young population who are intelligent and committed and innovative. And I've been able to see some of that innovation, and it has been remarkable. I went to the NUST University, and the science and technology that's being developed by those young people is really impressive. 4% of the people who apply to NUST actually get in. So you have the brightest and the best. And the creativity in terms of climate and technology, truly impressive.
That is so true. But before we go to the youth, I'd like to understand for our audience as well the importance of the Commonwealth. First of all, you, ma'am, Secretary General, have been the first ever woman Secretary General of the Commonwealth, which is a feat in itself. But when you look at your, curriculum, it looks as if you've only done feats all your life. You've only been the first in so many things all your life, and this adds to that. Coming to Commonwealth, what are the objectives? What is the vision or the raison d'etre of the Commonwealth? How important is it currently in this geopolitical or geostrategic situation that the world is embroiled in?
Well, I think it's vital. Probably the Commonwealth has never been more important than it is today. We have a 75-year history. And in that 75-year history, we've grown in number. We now are 56 countries in our Commonwealth, which represents 2.7 billion people in the world. That's 1/3 of humanity. And we don't come together by virtue of treaty. We come together because we're bound by common values of the rule of law, common values in relation to integrity, common values which enable us to look at the principles, and they are all inculcated into our charter. And we were the first to come up with what is in effect the Sustainable Development Goals. In 2013, our family said, why are we together? What do we believe in? What do we want to achieve? And they came up with the 16 clauses of the Commonwealth Charter, which 2 years later became the 16 clauses of the Sustainable Development Goal. But SDG 17 in the UN Charter is about partnership, and everything the Commonwealth has ever done is about partnership. So we put our partnership in our preamble right at the start and the head of what we're doing. And it has made a difference, because what we know is that the talent that is embedded in our 56 countries is far greater than the talent in any one of our countries. So when we pool that talent, that energy, that innovation to lift all of us, it's cheaper, easier, faster. And as a result, we now have a 21% advantage when we trade together, because we speak the same language. We have a similar parliamentary structure. We have a similar institutions. We have similar rule of law. And all those similarities give us an advantage. And we've been together for so many years. So we are a family. And what I have seen in the 8 years that I've been Secretary General is the love and the affection our members show each other. I haven't seen it in any other family like us. But then there's no other family like us.
You are unique in that, definitely, because you're a mix of so many developing and developed countries as well. And each country learns from the other's experience, and there's also this collective experience that you also observe during the course of the different meetings that you have, the different tete-a-tete that you have with all the leaders of these 56 countries. But you talked about the youth of Pakistan. You said that we are 65% below the age of 30. coming to youth, you have a major Commonwealth youth program that has been developed since its inception in 1973, way back in 1973.
Yes, you were the first.
Now, the 10th Youth Ministerial meeting was recently held in the September of last year. It was chaired by Pakistan, as you yourself explained in the very beginning. Do you feel that the platform that was needed in the Asian region has now been established? Because there was not one representation for this region, and I think, do you feel Pakistan fills that lacuna?
No, it absolutely does, because what we know is that this informal way in which we work together absolutely works, but we can enhance it by organizing ourselves, by focusing what's been done, by specifically sharing on a regional basis. So what we are going to do here in Pakistan, while I am here, is we're going to launch Kaya, which is going to be the Asian Youth Initiative. And by the grace of God and the munificence of Pakistan, there's been an agreement that the Secretariat for the Asian region should be here in Pakistan. And we are very grateful that the Pakistan government, and indeed all of the young people, because they are the ones who are going to be driving this, they are the new leaders, that they have graciously agreed to carry this burden for all of us. So I'm very proud of them.
Secretary General, what will be the main objectives of this Youth Asia Alliance Secretariat that is going to be established in Pakistan?
Well, what it's going to do is to look at all the programs that the Commonwealth undertakes. We have a very large number of youth networks for young entrepreneurs, for those interested in climate change, in business, you name it, we have a youth network which covers it. So in order to look at every country in the Asia region who are members of our Commonwealth, and to give them an opportunity to plan together, work together, share what works, and really rise to the challenge that we now have in so many areas. Many of our young people are totally devoted to combating climate change. And here in Pakistan, you've seen how young people have volunteered, they're planting trees, they are advocating for a better world in terms of our adherence to the Paris principles, and they're not just advocating, they're doing. And this is very exciting, because we know we have to innovate, we have to change, and we have to take action if the climate disaster that we are in now is to change. And Pakistan, of course, has suffered greatly, because Pakistan contributed to less than 1% to the crisis, and yet is one of the most endangered countries. I think many people don't understand that when you say 33 million people were affected, that is half the population of the United Kingdom. And that is devastating. And we need to do better. And we need to raise the money to enable those who are affected to be assisted in a way that makes better sense.
You know, you're quite compassionate when you talk of Pakistan's plight as far as climate change is concerned. Does the world really understand what Pakistan has gone through? I understand the Commonwealth does, but do other important countries that participate in funds that could help Pakistan, come out of all the ensuing tragedy post the 2022 floods? Do you feel the countries are cognizant of that? And if not, what needs to be done?
Well, I think we did everything possible to make them cognizant. And the tragedy of Pakistan, in an ironic way, we used ruthlessly to bring it to their attention. Because we have been saying for a very long time, this climate crisis poses an existential threat to our countries. And people thought that we were talking about tomorrow or in 50 years' time. And what happened to Pakistan, to those who would not understand, we used it to make them understand this is what existential threat looks like. And so, as you may remember, I think I put Pakistan's plight in every speech I made, because people forget very easily. And you will know that my own country of birth, Dominica, in 2017 suffered from the greatest hurricane the world had then ever seen, the largest. We unfortunately have seen larger since in the Bahamas, but in 2017, Hurricane Maria destroyed 226% of Dominica's GDP. That is what existential threat looks like. And so we have been very clear that Pakistan needs support. And we've also been very clear that it is unjust when a country like Pakistan suffers from a tragedy which has not been caused by them. It is unfair, unsatisfactory to say to that country that because you're a middle income country, you will not get aid to assist you. And what we did do through our advocacy is we managed to get the global community to notice, to listen, and to commit to giving Pakistan more money than they perhaps would otherwise have done. And there was an additional, I think, 9 billion raised. But the truth is, that was only a drop in the ocean. And so we need to continue to push harder. I also argued very strongly, using Pakistan as an example, why we need a different way of responding to debt and responding to climate. So we have argued that you need to create a different mechanism, and we are suggesting a universal vulnerability index which takes into account the exogenous shocks that we are subject to. Because it wasn't just the climate disaster. We then, as we discussed a couple of years ago, had COVID. And as a result of COVID and climate, greater debt came because our economies were absolutely devastated. Since then, we have had the debacle between Russia and Ukraine, which has caused food insecurity. And on it goes. All of those things, all those exogenous shocks were not caused by any of us, but we have been subject to them. They've impacted our income, they've impacted our ability to look after our countries, and the world, the international financial institutions, have to find a better way of responding to these disasters than simply saying you look to GDP. Because when a hurricane hits you, when a cyclone hits you, when a flood hits you and robs you of all the things you've worked for, the bridges, the roads, the hospitals, the schools, the people you love,
Exactly.
they don't take the debt with them, because we've all taken out loans to buy all the things that are destroyed. I would be very happy if when the flood came, when the hurricane came, when they took all the debt as well and dumped that in the sea.
But unfortunately that doesn't happen.
No, it gets left behind, and you have to build back better, and you have to spend more money. So what we are saying is we need, this is not 1945, when everyone was looking at saying fiscal rectitude is the only measure. It can't be. Our reality is the world has changed, and we have to change with it, and we've got to come up with better methods to look after each other and to turn this tide back, because if we do not reverse climate change, then we won't have a world for our children. And I know from talking to all the people here in Pakistan and across the Commonwealth that the Commonwealth is committed to turning that tide. We have been on this journey since 1989 in Langkawi. We were the first to say the existential threat, and we're not giving up. We're not giving up.
And you know, the Commonwealth has really worked as far as climate action is concerned, as far as different countries and how you've been helping other countries as well, whether it be the South Asian monsoon season, the Atlantic hurricane season in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And so there are so many other examples where the Commonwealth has stood in front of so many other organizations and been the first one to help its member countries that were in need. this year, I mean, we've talked about the 2022 floods, but you know, there's one thing when it comes to all of that, that we talk a lot at the different COPs as well, is climate justice.
Yes.
Pakistan has been advocating for climate justice, but unfortunately hasn't gotten it so far. And there are so many other examples of other countries as well. How important is climate justice to the Commonwealth?
It is extremely important, and we have been pushing for this. And you will see just recently Hurricane Beryl devastated the 4 islands in the Caribbean, and I was there when Hurricane Beryl struck Grenada, and it was coming in. I landed, and only for 3 hours, and I had to leave. We know that justice is needed because of the experience of our member states. We have 33 small states in the Commonwealth. 25 of them are small island developing states who have been devastated by climate. But look at what's happened to countries like Bangladesh and elsewhere during the monsoons. The most vulnerable countries to climate change and the climate crisis are in fact within our family. So perhaps it is not surprising that we in the Commonwealth have been on the front line and on the front foot on this issue, because you don't have to tell our members that this is real. They're feeling it, they're tasting it, they're experiencing it every single day. It is omnipresent. So we've pushed for legal change. We have created a climate legal toolkit to help our countries. We are looking at how we can sequestrate carbon. We're coming up with some really innovative opportunities. We created the Blue Charter in 2018 to deal with oceans. We've created the Living Lands Charter to do with implementation of the 3 Rio Conventions. We've come up with common sensing, which is using geospatial data that comes from the UN agencies who deal with space and the British Space Agency ourselves, to really understand what's happening in climate so that we can help our countries not only to protect themselves, but hopefully to prepare and even prevent it. And we've created the Climate Finance Access Hub to give money into the hands of our member states. And with just $8.5 million, which is a tiny amount of money, we have already delivered $360 million into the hands of our members, and we have another $500 million in the pipeline. And we've done that by using everything we have, all the knowledge our 56 countries have, together with our partners like the Space Agency. And I'm hoping that we will launch something that we're calling Common Space. If we can get all the space agencies in the Commonwealth to do what the British Space Agency is doing, if we can pool that information and use the AI that's now available to us to understand how we can build back better, then, as I now say, we'd be cooking with solar.
All right. I'd also like to understand, you know, the COP28 is just around the corner. How important is the operationalization of the loss and damage fund, the realization of the promised $100 billion in annual climate financing for developing countries, and to help the polluting economies? How important are these measures? How important will be the role of the Commonwealth to push the countries at COP28 in order for this to be implemented?
Well, I think it is vital. What we did, if you remember, in Kigali, when we met for the CHOGM, we came up, the commitment after 27 years, it was the Commonwealth who said we have to have a loss and damage fund. And that was in 2022. And we went to Sharm el-Sheikh, all of us, and we insisted. And people said, oh, you'll never get a loss and damage fund. This has been 27 years, you know, it is going to be the same as always. And we were absolutely determined. We got the loss and damage fund. Then when we went to COP28 last year in Sharm el-Sheikh, after Sharm el-Sheikh in Dubai, we pushed harder. But the fund of 100 billion was in 2009, and it still hasn't been paid. We have a fund now for loss and damage, which was agreed in Dubai, but has that been operationalized? Not yet. So we have to push really, really hard in Azerbaijan, and we've reached out to the presidency, and they have, the president has indicated that he wishes to put the small island developing states and those states who are most affected by climate at the center of the next COP. And the next COP in Baku is going to be a finance COP. And so what we all have to push for is no more talk. We need action, and we will be calling on all of those who have made commitments to the countries who have suffered the most to actually deliver the money. And of course, we in the Commonwealth will be more than happy to help them spend it well.
I think that's a very wise statement, and I really hope that statement gets implemented. You know, it all depends on implementation, on actionable evidence, and I hope this really happens this time at the COP. Coming back to the youth, because you know we are very concerned, not concerned, but we have a youth bulge, as you yourself have said, and we need to channelize that in the right direction. How do you see the demographic of the youth playing a role in the future of the Commonwealth as far as Pakistan is concerned? Then I'd like to add to that, what do you feel are the unique strengths and opportunities that you feel are present in Pakistan's youth? You must have got a little example of that. You went to NUST, as you yourself said, that could be harnessed through the Commonwealth. We all know that Pakistan stands at number 3 in entrepreneurship in the Global Youth Development Index and is the 4th in freelancing. How, in your point of view, can these, I should say, these figures or these numbers or these positionings of Pakistan be channelized in the right direction? What needs to be done for a bright, for a strong Pakistan, because it's the youth that is the future of Pakistan?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. The young are the future of Pakistan, but they're also the leaders of today and the co-creators with us of the solutions for tomorrow. And what we are doing is creating a platform for young people so that they can really have the springboard they need to deliver those solutions. And we hope that what we'll be launching today here in Pakistan will be one of the opportunities. But we also know that this world is now a technologically driven world. Digitalization is going to be incredibly important. There's an assessment being made globally that AI is likely to add 15.7 trillion to the global economy. If our youth in the Commonwealth, which includes absolutely the 65% of the population here in Pakistan who are under 35, if they are to have a slice of that new digital AI-assisted economy, we are going to have to train them. We are going to have to make sure that they have the tools that they need to make that commitment. And in the Commonwealth, we are really working hard to produce those tools. So we launched last year an AI consortium with all the biggest tech companies in Silicon Valley. And we did that in order to bridge the gap that there is growing between the global north and the global south. But we also created an opportunity for training courses. And I have to tell you that Pakistan has outstripped any of our countries at this time in their ability to take advantage. We have Simply Learn certificates which were given. We had 10,000. Pakistan has taken advantage of 750, although most countries 200. Why? Because we want the youth to be able to progress. And the AI Academy, which all your listeners can go on our website, there are free training courses available. And so we are making sure that the interests of our young people are exercised and enabled. And I am really excited by what I see. Some of these youngsters are not only brilliant, but they're passionate and they're actually very giving because they're willing to share their knowledge and their expertise. And I think what I've seen here with the chairman in the Prime Minister's office and the leadership that they're giving to young people, the fact that they're inviting young people to be at the table. Pakistan now has a new youth council and there's been a lot of competition to get onto that council. That listening to young people is incredibly important. And so Pakistan in many ways is creating a model which is replicable for other member states and is showing real leadership as the chair of the Commonwealth Youth Ministerial meeting and the working group. And that's pretty impressive.
All right. Secretary General, I'd also like to understand, you talk about the youth. Like any other country, the youth in Pakistan also face a lot of challenges, common challenges,
Yes.
education, employment, climate change, social inclusion. How can the Commonwealth support our youth?
Well, we will support and are supporting youth by all these networks. And I would be saying to everyone, please join the networks, take advantage of the scholarships, share with us what you need, and then come and help us, because the young people are the architects of the solutions we need if we can give them a platform to exercise their real talent. And that's what the Commonwealth is trying to do as much as we can. And I was really touched because I saw a number of senior people, and when I asked them, they said they had got a Commonwealth scholarship, or they had been a Commonwealth young leader, and now one of them, well, actually a number of them across the Commonwealth are now ministers, junior ministers, and members of Parliament. So we know that we have to grow our own. And I am very proud that we have grown some amazing talent by just supporting them. So I would say to all the young people in Pakistan, dream big. Don't let anyone tell you that you are not able to change the paradigm in which you sit. You are the arbiter of your own good fortune, and the world needs you. Not just Pakistan, but the Commonwealth needs you to be the best you can be. And we will do everything we can to support you to do that, because it's in our interest.
Secretary General, also, could you give our audience an example of the success stories that the Commonwealth has been involved in as far as the youth of the Commonwealth countries is concerned, so that Pakistan can learn from those experiences as well?
Well, for example, I will talk about what Pakistan herself has done, because the fact that Pakistan is number 3 in the youth index, actually number 1 as well, number 1 and number 3, is not by accident. Pakistan has focused on the employability of young people. The fact that Pakistan created the tree planting initiative, which helped billions of trees to be planted across the nation, didn't just address climate change. It also helped young people to learn skills and to develop and to contribute and to feel that they are changing their environment. It was hugely successful. The 4-pillared approach that the Pakistan administration are using is an approach, a model that other member states can use as well. The fact that we are absolutely focusing on entrepreneurship to help the startups. If you look across the world, the unicorns which have been created, that's the new billion-dollar entities which have been created from nothing in recent years, the majority of those unicorns have been created by people under the age of 35. So helping the startup, creating the incubators. We've got incubators in the Commonwealth on oceans, helping them to make their dreams or turn their dreams into reality. I created the Commonwealth Innovation Awards. We've got the Commonwealth Youth Awards. And the reason we've given so many Pakistani young people who are brilliant these awards is to showcase, to put a spotlight on their talent, to enable them to talk about how they did it, and let others be inspired by what they have done and to replicate it. And as a result, more of our young people are coming forward, participating in the startups, getting the training, and some are as young as 9. And so this isn't just about the older young people. It's helping us to see talent wherever it is, in whichever form it comes, and then supporting it. And so these examples are real life examples. When you see our young people committing themselves, for instance, to create an NGO. We've got NGOs now for women, for girls, for unemployment. There was a wonderful young woman who created a new program for her autistic brother who was unable to communicate, and she hated the fact that he was isolated. So she started a club for all the families with other autistic children and made a huge difference. But she started that when she was about 14. But she didn't get the award till she was a couple of years. But all of these are examples of what young people can do to change. And the trade between Commonwealth countries is now at 800 billion intra-Commonwealth trade. We hope it'll rise to 1 trillion in 2026, 2 trillion by 2030. And during COVID, if you remember, it was a very dark time. Most of the trade in most of our countries went down, and it was very painful. And yet something extraordinary happened in the Commonwealth. We had about 700 billion worth of intra-Commonwealth trade, and it stayed. It didn't drop. And then slowly it started to grow to 721 billion. And when we looked at why that was, we saw that much trade had dropped. What had grown, $141 billion, had been as a result of digital trade. And that digital trade had been driven by young people and by women. And why had they traded? Because Commonwealth citizens trust each other.
True.
They had similar laws, similar institutions, and that similarity made them feel safer. And that trust and confidence enabled us to grow. And that trust and confidence has enabled us to rise to 800 million. But that is fundamentally due to our young people and our women also being included with our men. So that gives me hope that if we focus on our young people, which is what Pakistan has done, focus quite relentlessly, they will give us back 100-fold.
I totally agree with you on that. We are a bit short of time, and I know you have a very busy schedule in front of you as well. But finally, Secretary-General Scotland, what message would you like to give to Pakistan?
I would say to the people of Pakistan, I know that this is a difficult time, but I know the resilience of Pakistan. I know the passion of the people in Pakistan, and your resilience was demonstrated during the time of the floods. So I want to say thank you for that resilience, thank you for that courage, thank you for being willing to continue the fight. And I absolutely believe the people of Pakistan, when they come together, all of them, all sides, they can do anything. And we in the Commonwealth are going to stand beside all Pakistanis, wherever they come from, whatever their political affiliation, whatever their religion, whatever their sector, because I believe it will take all of us working together for the good of our countries, for the good of Pakistan. That's what we need. We need dialogue, we need respect, and we really have to remember that we love each other. And if we love each other, and if we love our countries, then we will do what is necessary to provide peace, to provide security, and to provide hope. And so I hope for a peaceful Pakistan, for a united Pakistan, where tolerance and understanding and respect is at the forefront of everyone's mind. Because I think with dialogue and with respect, anything is possible. And you can do this.
I think we can do this, but we need, for all of that to happen, you talk of dialogue, of trust, of confidence, of respect. All of that comes with a strong backing, and with the backing like yours and the Commonwealth. I'm sure that not only the youth of Pakistan, but also the youth of all the different countries that the Commonwealth represents will move forward and make this bloc, as I was reading in one of the quotes about Commonwealth, an impact bloc. I think this is what it has been since it started, and this is what it continues to be, despite the obstacles that it has seen, despite the geopolitical or geostrategic changes that the world is seeing. It continues to be an impact bloc, and we look forward to you and your chairmanship and the way you have led the Commonwealth in the last 8 years to also come up with the innovative ideas like you have in the future as well, to put our youth on the pedestal, not only the youth of Pakistan, but the youth of the Commonwealth and the women of the Commonwealth as well, because you're a champion for women causes and women as well. But that, I think, we'll leave for another interview, another time, maybe a next visit to Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Secretary General Scotland, to have joined us for this exclusive, all Pakistan exclusive here on PTV World, and talked about Pakistan, your own experience and the importance of the Commonwealth in this world. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's newsroom. We've had a very interesting discussion on different topics that pertain to the majority of Pakistan's population, and that is the youth that is below the age of 30. And all the different principles that the Secretary General has talked about: respect, dignity, and cohesion, and working together, and the future of the youth, and respect, they are already inculcated in the youth, but they need to be brought up to the fore, and they need the constant support not only of our government but also of the Commonwealth, so that we can come up with the best leaders in the future as well. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new stories and segments that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. But this was a very important one. So I hope you have gotten the point. I hope you also understand the importance of the Commonwealth. And finally, Secretary General Scotland, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was delightful to see you at last.
Definitely.